stayed here at the Pink Pearl. It was a really nice place to stay. We signed the logbook. We gotta get tires and Wildside Motorsports. You got anything to say?
What's this, day 8?
Day 8.
I'm not even sure what day it is, but it's gonna be a good day. The Pearl treated us nicely.
Still pretty smoky.
Smoky, my back is feeling it a little bit.
Colby hadn't said much about it, but a day or two before we began the tour, he had thrown his back out so badly that he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to do anything, let alone ride his dirt bike for 13 days. Luckily, a pre-tour chiropractor visit and some medications made it possible for him to give it a try. For anyone who's had major back pain, you know that he was doing pretty good to be this far into the tour, and we were hoping that it wasn't going to flare up too bad again. Alright, heading to Wildside Motorsports. Get some new tires and maybe do a couple small repairs. Hopefully we're not there too long. Then we'll get on to the day 8 trails over to North Fork. Salmon, Idaho has a population of about 3,100 people, so it's one of the bigger cities we would visit on the tour. Salmon is named after the Salmon River, which flows directly through town. The Salmon River used to be called the River of No Return. This was because until riverboats were invented that could successfully navigate upstream, the Salmon was only a one-way voyage. With its frequent and turbulent rapids and tall cliffs, once someone floated down the Salmon, they didn't return, at least not by water. Another interesting claim of Salmon, Idaho is that it is believed to be the birthplace of Sacagawea, the Native American woman who assisted the Lewis and Clark expedition from North Dakota all the way to the Pacific Ocean. She was only about 16 or 17 years old at the time of the expedition. Unfortunately, she was also believed to have been kidnapped from her Shoshone birth tribe by a rival Hidatsa tribe during a raid when she was just about 12 years old. She was eventually sold into a non-consensual marriage to a French-Canadian trapper from Quebec, who is known as Toussaint Charbonneau. Charbonneau, who from what I learned was a fairly unsavory character, was believed to have also purchased another young Shoshone girl from the Hidatsa called Otter Woman, of whom very little is known. Charbonneau was eventually hired by Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, along with his wife Sacagawea, largely because he claimed that his wife could speak several native languages, and that traveling with a native woman would present the company as much less threatening to rival tribes. Before leaving, Sacagawea gave birth to her son Jean-Baptiste in February of 1805. She and most of the Lewis and Clark Company called the boy Pomp or Pompey, possibly meaning first in the Shoshone language. They left on the expedition just 2 months later in April, Sacagawea with her infant son on her back. Much has been written and told of Sacagawea, some of it fictional and some true. I think all of it is very interesting, though none of it has anything to do with riding dirt bikes across Idaho. So, let's get back to the tour. As you may remember, this morning we were headed over to Wildside Motorsports in Salmon to get our final set of tires for the tour. We were hoping to get in and out as quickly as possible so that we could get to North Fork at a decent hour. We must have been in too big a hurry to get any pictures or video while at Wildside, but they were a big help, even letting us do a few repairs in their shop while we waited for tires. Alright, we got new tires. Those guys at Wildside were really nice. Wasn't real fast. We're thinking maybe we could have changed them a little faster, but it's 11:30, so we'll probably be getting to North Fork late tonight. I left these guys over at the gas station here. At least I thought I did. Now it looks like they're gone. The first part of day 8 took us north out of Salmon on Highway 93. Then we turned west to head up Stormy Creek Road about 11 miles to another Jeep road, FS 20, which would take us up to Wallace Lake for our first of only 2 challenge points of the day.
It's so sad all this is burned. This wasn't burned when we were here. Really? No.
Huh. What lake is that?
Wallace Lake.
It's what? Wallace?
Wallace Lake. Yeah, this whole dang thing has been burned.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, so we gotta go back just a little bit, and there's a single track we gotta find, but it looks like it goes down through a freaking burn area.
This isn't that one that we could
Hop a ton of logs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Has anybody been down it?
Yeah. Everybody's gone down it. I'm hoping we can pick up that track. It's burnt like this, it should be pretty easy.
From the Wallace Lake overlook, we would backtrack just a bit, then follow a series of quad trails back to Stormy Peak Road. From Stormy Peak Road, we were supposed to find a few connector trails that would take us back to the north and west. One was Moose Creek, another was Little Moose Creek. Luke and I knew from 2021 that these weren't ridden much, and that it could be difficult to find them. We also knew that they could be covered with obstacles such as fallen trees. This is a hard trail to find, and it might not be cut.
This is the most semblance of a trail we've seen going down here.
Unfortunately, coming up, I suffer yet another crash, and with it, another injury. While the crash is unspectacular, it just is a stall which leads to a tip over. It would end up smashing my foot between a rock and my foot peg, and I'm pretty sure it either broke or cracked a bone on the outside of my right foot. I say I'm only pretty sure it was broken because I never ended up getting it x-rayed. I would get close to going in for an x-ray a few times in the next few months because of the pain, but I figured it wasn't worth the cost just to go find out whether it was broken or not. As I understand it, there's not much they can do for a broken foot anyways.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Your foot got caught.
Oh my gosh.
How bad did you hit it?
Oh boy.
Yeah, Caleb, damn weak.
I'm alright.
Oh, I can see you. What did you hit?
I don't know. I got my back and my
It hit your back?
foot, but I don't know why this is leaking so bad. No. That cap wasn't on good.
No, we're getting it figured out.
Okay. God, I'm down a gallon of gas already.
Huh?
I'm down a gallon of gas already. Whew.
These types of crashes happen often while riding dirt bikes. Well, they happen often for me anyways. But usually I can just grit my teeth and finish the few miles left in the day, go home, heal up, and be out riding again the next weekend. But out here on the tour, even small injuries can really compound and add up to create very significant challenges. From here on out, for the next 5 days, not only would my tailbone and back be bothering me every time I was sitting in the seat, but now my foot would be causing me pain every time I was standing on the pegs. It has been a little bit annoying for me while doing these edits to watch my own diminishing attitude and overall demeanor. I'd like to think that under normal conditions, I would just joke around a bit, laugh at my dumb mistakes. I'd say thank you to Colby and Luke for helping me pick my bike up over and over again, and for showing their concern. And then I would assure them that I have what it takes to keep going. But the Tour of Idaho is anything but normal conditions. So instead, I just seem to be quietly sulking more and more, and retreating too much inside my own head. I know why, but it bothers me all the same. I guess it bothers me because I know that attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference. I do remember being in a lot of pain, and that means it was probably even worse than what I can now recall. Time has a way of making situations and pain seem not as bad as they actually were in the moment. I'm man enough to admit, but not man enough to show, that around this time the tour actually brought me to tears. In my defense, it was very brief and only the once, and I tried really hard to hide it then, but I think I still got caught. So it can be said that the Tour of Idaho extracted from me not only plenty of blood and sweat, but even the rarest proof of pain, tears. The truth is that it was beginning to be more than I could handle. It was affecting my riding and my decision making, and as a result, the whole team's chances of success. I needed to find some relief from the pain, or at least stop adding to it, so that I could once again get outside myself and continue enjoying this once-in-a-lifetime epic and unforgettable adventure.
That was interesting.
Yep. Good job navigating through the moon.
Hope Moose Creek's not burned like that.
Lost the trail, I think.
We don't know the trail?
Still picking our way through here. We're seeing why it's taking people so long.
It seems like I remember one of them posted a video like getting stuck in the mud, but it was out in an open meadow.
think Luke and Colby had seen me picking my bike up a few times, and so they decided to stop and let me rest for a bit. I felt bad because I knew that I was slowing the team down. Huh? I'm alright. We were about to keep going when Luke noticed a part on his bike that needed to be tightened up, so we decided to stop, did the repair, ate some food, and rested for a bit before tackling the rest of Moose Creek. What? Oh, I have some wire. His overflow bottle. While doing so, the wind picked up and started blowing the trees around, and we were worried that one was going to fall on us. Since I forgot the GoPro was running, again, you can hear us discussing what we'd do if a tree did fall, whether or not my foot was broken, our odds of making it across Moose Creek, and another tough section of trail we had coming up called Hornet Creek, which no team had made it across yet.
You hear a tree falling.
Yeah, be ready to run.
It's really kind of scary with the wind picking up.
Anything could fall, huh?
Here's that.
Worried these trees are gonna fall on us.
I don't know how you'd ever know where to run. You'd hear a snap.
Which way is it going? Did you think it was the top of your foot? Or it just like aches the whole
Felt like the whole thing. Now it's kind of like the top and outside, right in the middle.
like a bruise or like a sprain? Like, does it hurt when you move it?
Yeah.
Or hurt when because it's being touched?
Both. It'll be alright.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
You know what I got thinking?
Something good, I hope.
It kind of all depends on that first team. If that first team wouldn't have spent 5 hours and finding their way, cutting across this, and they just came in and like cut a bunch and then message Mark says it's just completely covered, we're not getting through, and went out. He may, depending on how he was, he may say, okay, you're gonna have to make up those points of missed trails.
He would. He'd say go in and cut as much as you can. And you.
That's probably what we're gonna have to do on Hornet Creek. I don't think anybody's made it through that one.
That's today too?
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's so dumb. There's no way anybody spent a whole lot of time cutting.
Somebody's done some cutting, I've noticed.
You think it's tour guys?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just stuff they couldn't see any other way through.
No one that's not a tour guy is dumb enough to come down this trail right now.
Right.
Until somebody comes in here, a crew, and actually clears it.
From here, we would finish cutting and blazing our way across Little Moose Creek, then briefly rejoin Stormy Creek Road before heading back west to try our luck and see how far we could make it across Hornet Creek. You can see from the video embedded in my relive footage that we would definitely end up doing some cutting. had longer legs, I think this would be a lot easier. Not to take away anything from Colby's riding skills, he's good. Oh, we made it out of there. I think it took us about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Now we got to go down to Hornet, and that's a trail that no team so far has made it across. I guess the rule is you go out, find out why. If it's logs, you cut a few or as many as you can. Cut as many as you can if it's logs, and then you turn around and come back, and hopefully you don't lose a point. You gotta put in an effort though not to lose that point, so we'll give it a shot. Looks like it might rain on us. We didn't think it would rain today or tomorrow, but early next week, in 3 or 4 days, we are expecting a lot of rain. And that's when we'll be working our way across the wilderness, so that'll be interesting.
Trail's up here.
I must not have gotten any footage other than that little bit with my phone of us getting Colby's bike back up on the trail. But as you can see, he made it back up. I think I was just glad it wasn't me for a change. Because not one single team this year had successfully made it across Hornet Creek yet, and we weren't even sure the last time anyone had even ridden Hornet Creek all the way from one end to the other, we had very little intel as to whether or not it was even passable. Even so, Martin was requiring teams to at least make an attempt at Hornet Creek in order to avoid off-route penalties. Most of the teams before us had gone out a few miles, cut some logs, then turned around and taken Gerano Mountain Road back to Leesburg. So that's what we were expecting to do also. And, just as we expected, after we got Colby back up on the trail, we almost immediately started hitting down trees all over the place, one right after another. One thing I noticed is that it seems, to me at least, like I'm never really helping with the cutting logs or lifting bikes over obstacles or helping with repairs and such. I just stand there and watch. That's because I'm lazy and I like to let Luke and Colby do all the work. Just kidding. Well, maybe only partially kidding. Obviously the real reason is because I'm sometimes filming and therefore not helping. But that idea did give me a glimpse into how much of the tour was missed by the camera. Because the truth is, I feel like I helped out quite a bit, though I guess Colby and Luke would have to verify whether or not that's true. At some point, we realized that we had obviously made it farther than any of the previous teams just based on the amount of uncut logs we were coming across. The going was slow, but we wanted to be able to say that we had tried our best and done some work in clearing the trail, so we just kept clearing. After a while, we had made it so far across Hornet Creek that we were committed. We could see that there were only 1 or 2 miles left to the road on our maps. So, depending on how much we'd have to cut, we knew that it would probably take us longer to go back now than to just keep going. We decided that it was now necessary to make it across, so we kept leapfrogging each other and clearing the path as we went. We cut so many logs that we lost count. And because nobody had traveled this end of the trail in who knows how long, we kept losing it in bogs and marshes.
I don't know.
Should we just hop it or cut it?
If we can hop it, let's hop it. This is all just loose and muddy up there. Oh boy. It's not down trees, it's something else on these trails. There is no trail. We're about 3/4 of the way through this, and it's been so hard to get here. We're committed.
Finally, after about 3.5 hours, we found the road, but we had only gone 5 miles in that amount of time.
Nobody's been down that trail in a very, very long time. Nobody should ever try to cut across that. Even the sign on the other side was hidden in some trees and broken. The one that joins into this trail. That was an absolute nightmare.
Okay, can you tell I'm a little bitter? If all you were doing for a day was clearing and riding Hornet Creek, then that could be a lot of fun. I'd even say it has the potential to be a great trail. I guess just not when you're riding the Tour of Idaho and nothing's been cleared. So with that done, we were the first team to make it the whole way across Hornet Creek, which did give us a certain sense of satisfaction and accomplishment. Now that we had rejoined Moose Creek, we just needed to find Gerano Mountain Road and take that down to Leesburg for our final challenge point for the day.
What, it's a gold town from the 1870s? Leesburg.
It's kind of cool. Not right in the middle of nowhere.
A window on Leesburg.
Here's a look at how well my right boot is holding up after just 8 days on the tour, and the left isn't much better. I'm usually very happy with everything that Climb offers, but I can wholeheartedly say that the GTX Adventure Boot sucks. 1 out of 5 stars, and only 1 out of respect for Climb. I guess I'd say that the GTXs are worthless for anything other than a leisurely ride to town on your grandpa's old Grumbler for some ice cream. And that's as long as all you plan to do is walk in them. I don't know, maybe that's too harsh. They might hold up for that BDR stuff. From Leesburg, it was just 22 miles down to Panther Creek. Then 20 miles down to the Salmon River. And then just 26 more miles to North Fork. Needless to say, the next 60 miles was going to be a grind. We were excited and ready to get to North Fork, but we still had a fair amount of country to cover before we got there.
I guess that there was 7,000 people that used to live here in the 1800s. Some gold rush. Pretty interesting, actually. There have been 7,000 people in a lot of these towns we've been through. These are two random little something. Up here in the middle of nowhere. Quad Fraser Bridge.
Kind of a pretty drive.
Yeah. That just goes all the way up over to Salmon, like the Salmon River Road, or what?
I don't know. They call this Panther Creek, I think. And we follow this all the way to the Salmon River, and we're going to take a right, and then go clear up around north to North Fork.
Huh. Okay. Panther Creek. There's no panthers in Idaho. name this place.
Do you recognize this?
Yeah.
From Jimmy Lewis's video. They used to stay here on the Tour of Idaho.
Not that long ago then, huh?
Didn't seem that long ago.
Huh.
It's kind of crazy, huh? That trail over there. That's not, I mean, that's not that South Fork of the Salmon Trail that's nasty that everybody...
I don't think so, because it's not showing a motorized trail on the map.
Really?
So that...
Looks like it's been collared. Huh. Definitely not the way I ride dirt bikes.
Day 8 was almost in the books. We had survived another day, and me against all odds. Colby and Luke were doing great and hungry for more. The bikes had new tires, and the weather looked to be pretty good for at least one more day. We had called ahead, and Cass, who runs the village at North Fork, hooked us up big time. She had not only left us a personalized welcome note on our door, but she also made us some smoked turkey and roast beef sandwiches, left chips and snacks, and some cold drinks for dinner. If all that wasn't enough, she had also made us breakfast burritos and left some snacks and Gatorades for our ride tomorrow. We couldn't thank her enough for her hospitality and her being willing to go above and beyond our expectations. That's the type of people you come across on the Tour of Idaho, the best of the best.
848 North Fork. Wow, that's a long road.
Tomorrow, day 9, would be the only loop back to the same location on the ultimate Tour of Idaho's route. So with more luck, we would be back here tomorrow night also.
All closed up. It's all closed up.